Hey everyone, I'm Beckett.
And I'm Jack. Today we're breaking down a situation that sounds almost unreal. A public feud between the President of the United States and the Pope?
Yeah, not exactly your everyday headline. This involves Donald Trump and Pope Leo XIV. And it's gotten personal, political, and unprecedented. So here's a setup. In May 2025, Pope Leo XIV becomes the first American pope ever. That alone is historic, but fast forward to April 2026 and things escalate fast.
The main issue? Foreign policy, especially the U.S. strategy in Iran. Pope Leo publicly criticizes it, calling it a delusion of omnipotence, which is not exactly subtle.
And Trump responds the way he usually does, directly and publicly, on social media. He calls the Pope weak on crime and bad for foreign policy, even suggesting the Vatican picked an American Pope just to deal with him. He also posted an AI-generated image of him depicted as God, which was met with lots of backfire and was eventually taken down.
Which is wild, because now it's not just about politics, it's personal. Trump even brings up the Pope's brother and says that he likes him better because he's MAGA.
That's when you know this isn't just a disagreement, it's a full-on feud. Now here's where things get interesting. Pope Leo doesn't really fire back in the same way.
Right. While flying to Algeria, he responds calmly. He basically says, I'm not a politician, I'm not debating with him, and I'm not afraid.
And he doubles down on a core message, peace, specifically referencing the idea that blessed are the peacemakers.
So you've got this contrast. Trump going to the offensive, and the Pope staying rooted in the religious messaging.
Why this matters. This isn't just about one argument. It shows something bigger about how Trump handles criticism.
Yeah, when institutions challenge him, whether it's political, military, or even religious, he tends to treat them like political opponents.
And in this case, the fact that the Pope is American makes it even more intense. Trump frames him almost like he's betraying the country instead of leading a global church.
This isn't new. If this feels familiar, that's because it is. Trump has clashed with Pope Francis back in 2016.
That was over the border wall. Francis said anyone focused on building walls instead of bridges isn't acting Christian. This thought bases itself in the fact that the Bible preaches welcoming the stranger, loving neighbors, and providing justice for vulnerable foreigners.
Trump called that disgraceful and accused the Pope of being used politically for Mexico.
This is part of a broader pattern. It isn't just to deal with popes.
Take John McCain, a naval officer who was recognized as a war hero due to the valor and bravery he showed in battle, who was then a U.S. senator. Trump publicly criticized him, even questioning his status as a war hero.
Or Mitt Romney. After Romney voted to impeach him for abuse of power, Trump questioned his faith and motives.
Same with Ted Cruz during the primaries. Trump openly attacked his honesty and even his religious identity.
And during the 2020 election, he made claims about Joe Biden being against religion, despite Biden being a practiced Catholic.
So what's the common thread here?
It's what some analysts call a counterpunch strategy. When criticized, Trump responds fast, personally, and often more aggressively. A lot of times, this response includes crazy accusations that rarely have any basis in fact.
And instead of treating critics as neutral figures, like a religious leader or war hero, he reframes them as opponents.
Which can strengthen support from his base because it turns every conflict into kind of us versus them situation.
So now we've got a moment where the President of the United States and the Pope, two of the most influential figures in the world, are openly at odds.
One pushing a message of national strength and pressure, the other emphasizing peace and moral responsibility.
And whether this escalates or cools down, it's definitely not something we see every day.